Hello and welcome back to another new episode of the Otakuology Podcast. I'm your host, Otaku Teddy Bear Mike. With me, as always, is Jen. It Hurts So Good Graves. And today we are talking about Sakamoto Days Episode 8.
What the fuck kind of intro was that? I don't even know the reference.
It was in this episode.
It hurts so good.
Yeah.
Am I that mean?
No, it's something the scientist guy says when he's like injecting himself with all the stuff. He's like, it hurts so good.
Okay. I was like, where the fuck was this at? I am so confused. And I'm like rattling my brain. Okay, it had to be in this episode. Where was it said? I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. And we got a good episode for you guys and gals tonight. We have a lot to unpack in this episode, I feel like.
It's always a good episode, guys and gals.
A lot to unpack in this episode.
Yeah. So,
but we were talking.
Make sure you pull out your travel baggage. That way we can unpack this.
We were talking a little bit off the air before this, and I was telling Jen that they have skipped a couple chapters.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other thing.
No. We skipped a couple chapters, and I guess they did when creating or outlining this story for the anime. So we're missing content. And I wonder if we're ever going to get it back.
Because they didn't care.
I mean, it probably didn't really add anything to the story, to be honest.
No, probably not. I really wonder, because of what you were talking about with it being more one-shotty stuff, if the reason why we even got the one that feels one-shotty with
Hisuke
is because Hisuke makes appearances in this stuff.
Yeah.
Because without that, I don't think we would.
Because I was like, man, I remember them having like a scene where a bus gets hijacked and Hana and Aoi's on it, and Sakamoto has to save it in disguise. And there was like a policewoman at one point that becomes a character and stuff like that. And there was other stuff, but maybe they took that stuff out just to streamline everything. And it was pretty early on in the story too.
Maybe so.
Because it was like even before like Lou showed up.
Before the Lou?
Yeah, before Lou showed up in the manga. Because I was like, how far are we in the manga? And I was like, I picked it up, and we're like in like chapter like 20 something.
Yeah,
like we're finishing up with volume 3.
We are so far into this.
Which I was like, how long is this gonna go?
You guys, we are like $60 into this.
$60?
Yeah, because doesn't it usually cost like somewhere around 15 or whatever plus tax?
No, it's 10.
Well, somebody's lying to me.
$10.99 for a Shonen Jump manga.
Price of the economy.
Or $9.99 plus tax.
$9.99 plus tax.
Yeah.
Well, there's more questions than I need to have.
Are you sure you're not thinking of like Yen Press and like 7 Seas that normally are like $15 a manga?
No, those make me think of like $30.
No. I feel like you haven't bought a manga in like 4 years.
Nope. I think I bought one last year.
What was it?
It was like volume 8 of Interspecies Reviewers. I really wanted to stay up to date, okay?
I mean, that's fine. I still buy Monster Musume up to date, so like I don't fault you for that.
And then every time I've tried to pick up like Delicious and Dungeon, they either don't have it or it's like, I got the box set, and I'm like, I don't want the fucking box set.
I mean, the box set's pretty cool looking.
I'm like, just like fucking like cut it open and give me the 4 books I need.
You're probably gonna have to buy that box set.
No, I ain't buying no
You're
box.
gonna buy that box set.
I
You
ain't
know
buying
you are.
it. Nope.
I have to say, I've had a hard time trying to keep up with manga,
Yeah,
and I'm like so far behind on like the titles that I want to read.
that's true. Most of mine probably don't even exist anymore. Like the what's the one the black skeleton knight in his armor or something, and it's like I think it's like 6.
6.
Yeah, I think it's like 6 volumes or whatever, but I only have like the first 2.
Is it Overlord?
No, no, it's like called
Is it Skeleton Knight in another world?
yeah.
Yeah, that's way far.
And I'm like, that's probably not even in print anymore.
No, it actually is. I think.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. But let's get into this episode of Sakamoto.
let's get into it.
We start off with sad little Hana crying at the store. And who happens to show up? Hisuke.
He's scary.
And Hisuke is like, man, I found 500 yen under the vending machine. I'm going to buy me some food.
Yep. And then he
And
was asking Peace. He's like, Peace, what are you getting, buddy?
what are you getting? We're going to split this money?
Which I got to say, I love this character just because you could toss him a bone and he kind of seems like he's got like the whole world in his hand. And then instantly, like after he does it, he's like, I'm so broke.
But Hana is upset because she wanted to tell everybody about Is it Parents' Day?
Yeah,
I
apparently.
think it was. And she was like, oh, I'm so sad because nobody's here. Where was her mom?
I question that as well, but
Like, was her mom like up in their house and she just wanted to tell like the Sakamoto gang?
I don't know.
And Hisuke is like, oh man, I could cheer you up. I have this piece of candy, or would you like to eat my acorns? And I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? What
Yeah.
who wants to eat acorns?
I felt that way too. And I was like, you only got one piece of candy.
Yeah,
I was like, what are you doing with this 500 yen then? Because you could be like, hey, can I buy you something?
yeah. Which I mean, he just seems kind of sad at the moment. But
Yeah.
Hisuke is like, yeah, we'll find
Which,
them. And he,
which I have another question here. When they walked
what?
outside
Uh huh.
and he was like sending Peace out to go look for him
Yeah.
and whatnot, like he didn't know like what they looked like or anything, and then he walked out with Hana on his shoulders, and I was like, what is he doing? Like,
I
is he going
think,
to take him with her?
I think so. I think he was just looking for Sakamoto and everybody else.
Yeah, Peace was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which begs the question: how did? Well, we'll get into it later, but how did Hisuke find them?
No, I agree with you because that's another thing I wanted to touch on here in a second was how did he know?
Yeah, how do you know? Yeah,
How did he know where they were at? I mean, because everybody else to me is underneath,
they're under like a secret laboratory.
yeah, like, and, to add insult to injury, because I feel like that's kind of what the creators did. Like, how the fuck did we not know this? And is there something else that we were supposed to know in this for, like, where they were? Was there
Yeah,
any indication? Was there anything that was dropped? Like, how does he know that this was there or anything else like that?
unless they happen to find like Sakamoto's last known location,
That's true, but I
because he's
just don't.
still wearing his apron.
I don't see him knowing that.
Yeah,
Just because, like, and if that's true, like, if Aoi had it, then how would he know, or why would he just send Pisuke off by himself?
yeah.
So I don't know. And like I said, why did he take Anna out of the shop too? Because that was a little. weird because I was like, "What? Are you taking
Yeah.
her with you? Like, what's going on here, my friend?"
So we continue the battle with Needle Scientist and Sakamoto and Shin, which
Needle
I,
shoulder.
Needle Shoulder Scientist. I don't know what his name is. I don't remember what his name is, to be exact.
His name is Shoulder Needle Pants.
Shoulder Needle Pants,
Yeah.
which they're still having a hard time fighting this guy because Sakamoto gets an implant put in him where he basically, if he tries to attack the scientist guy or the scientist assassin, whatever the fuck he is, he ends up hitting Shin by mistake.
Yeah, and if he ends up trying to attack him, then he ends Shin.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a reverse thing, like you do this, I do that, which I did like his way around it, but
Oh yeah, when we get to it later.
yeah.
So we end up
So it
go
was
ahead.
pretty cool.
We end up going into that and we end up finding that Lou is locked up with a specific scientist or researcher. And he happens to know Shin,
He's kind of like Shin's Pop Pop.
his adoptive pop pop.
Yeah.
So what happens in this little backstory we get for Shin?
We get to see where Shin was basically left and abandoned by
Somebody.
well, he said his name, it was Doctor something.
Yeah, and they were friends.
Yeah. Which I think, like, why would you bring up that doctor's name instead of just saying he was a friend if it
Yeah.
was irrelevant? So I
I,
wonder, and
I
I
think
bet
it's irrelevant. I think it's relevant to the story later
yeah,
on, probably.
that it'll probably come up for either like something else or like he's going to be one of the assassins later on,
Yeah, yeah,
or
that'll be interesting.
he could be what's his face. He could be shoot, the white one, Slur.
What? Oh, Slur.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. No,
that'd be
he didn't really
really
look like
weird.
he didn't really look like a Slur because he seemed to have like such a smaller stature. What Slur has
Who knows?
in his silhouette, but hey, who knows? I could be wrong.
Yeah, you could be slurring it up. You could be Slur.
But we find out that he was researching like superpowers basically and
Yeah,
how to expand the mind. And one night, uh, Shin wakes up and the scientist guy cracks the code, and Shin accidentally drinks the secret formula,
the secret Krabby Patty formula.
the secret Krabby Patty formula. Yeah. Oh, the
Yeah,
doctor's name was Asakara.
Asuka.
Asakura. Asakura.
That's the main one.
Yeah, that's the main guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the main doctor guy that took care of Shin.
And we find out that Shin gets superpowers, and nobody likes him because he's a little bratty kid who reads minds.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to stop.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't know
He
how to
just
stop at all.
he just keeps like talking about it and everything, and of course, like he gets Asakura in some hot water because he's like, "Oh, you're thinking about this other doctor
Hmm.
lady's panties, and you're wearing a toupee and some other stuff like that." So like, there's just a lot of stuff I feel like that gets him into hot water in that sense because
Yeah.
it's you know kids don't really know, and he's got this new profound power, and it's like, hey, well, what else do I know what to do with
But
this?
you can see that Asakura and Shin, like, they seem to really care about each other.
Yeah, well, and
Eventually.
I think everybody else kind of turned their back on him, and so he was the only one that was still there. And of course, he feels like it was his fault, so he was trying to make a cure,
Yeah.
which I think at the time Shin liked that he had the power and was upset that he was trying to get rid of it, like because he was already like, this is brilliant, I can't believe you did that, and Shin feels a little bit responsible for drinking it and doing that, and that he's the reason why like all these people being mad at him is pushing the doctor to try and make the cure more. But Shin's like, why worry about it? Like, you did this, and like this is like so cool, and so I think that's what really got to Shin too, was all of that when he was younger. That's why he ran away, was the fact of, he felt like he was slowing the doctor's research down, not,
Yeah.
you know, the doctor trying to cure him and do all that other stuff.
Yeah, and we come to find out that, or he finds out that Shin is actually here to rescue the lab. And he was like, "Oh, why didn't you say so?" And he like pulls out this vial, and the vial like breaks the door open, basically, like melts the lock on the door.
Yeah.
And Lou's like, "Why the fuck didn't you do that before?"
Well, and I love this part too when they first put Lou in there and she starts choking him out.
Oh yeah, and she's like, "You fucking tried to kidnap me."
You're the one that did it. And then she turns around and goes up to the other guy,
Yeah,
and you're just like, maybe she is the blonde child, and
maybe.
we've just gotten it wrong this whole time.
But we find out that he stayed in there in the prison cell because he didn't want to help anybody, like with their projects, basically.
Yeah, he didn't want to be used by the other big doctor people,
Yeah.
which we did get to see two more beside this crazy doctor guy, but they didn't get to stick around for long.
Oh yeah, and we do get this really cool fight with the needle doctor guy and Sakamoto, where Shin like stands in front of this guy, and he turns his back, and Shin was it no or is it Shin's reading Sakamoto's mind, and Sakamoto is telling Shin where to dodge
Yeah,
in
yeah,
order to fight the this guy who becomes the Hulk, basically.
yeah, yeah. Because the doctor, not the doctor, Shin is supposed to be Sakamoto's target.
Yeah.
And so he stands in front of him basically because whether he changes it to him or Shin, then as long as Shin dodges, then Sakamoto can basically beat the doctor up.
Yes. Yes.
So it was actually pretty clever,
It was.
especially after this whole monologue from the doctor guy on telling Shin like basically his power was worthless and it had no like stuff in today's society. It wasn't going to hold water compared to some of the other ones, and of course that pissed Shin off. And
That pissed Sakamoto off
yeah,
because
it did.
Sakamoto was like, "We're going to show you what Shin's power can do," basically,
Yeah, yeah,
and he proceeds to beat the shit out of this guy.
yeah.
He
he
like,
beats he beats all the stuff out of him, the serum out of him, and then
yeah,
he basically goes back to being his little like old man self.
yeah, and so they end up fighting and winning, and we find the scientists that they rescue find out that, oh, Shin's actually doing very good in
Yeah,
life, and they're happy about that and stuff, and they end up going off to see where Lou is, and Sakamoto and Shin end up getting separated, unfortunately. uh,
yeah.
Sakamoto gets thrown into a hole or
Which
falls
I
into a
want to know
hole.
how deep this hole is, because it seemed like it was really low.
It very much seemed like cartoon Looney Tunes type of thing,
Yeah,
like where they're trying to run on the air, and Sakamoto like kicks Shin and throws him, and Sakamoto falls down.
yeah,
And this is where things get really interesting, I have to say,
yeah,
where
yeah,
we meet two of the Order members, uh, Kashima? Is that his name? No, that's not it. Kashima's the deer head guy. We
yeah, yeah,
meet Shishiba and Asagura,
yeah. That sounds right.
which these are two of the Order members that we've seen before. They showed up in the previous episode at the end, and they end up killing a bunch of scientists or henchmen. I'm not for sure.
I think it's the henchman guys. Yeah,
And this is where we see the reindeer guy show up with two more assassins. And he's like, yeah, we got to take care of you guys. And Shishiba fucks these guys up. Was it Shishiba? No, they both kind of do a little bit. It's more Asagura.
Yeah, Asagura does it because they start trying to like intimidate him, which they ran up on him real fast.
Yeah, and she just like fucking cuts their heads off
Yeah, yeah,
with like a weird buzzsaw thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a giant power tool.
That's that her spirit's actually in Hyde from Hyde and Closer. That's what it is.
You think so? You think
Yeah,
so?
yeah. This is years later. That's what it is.
But so they end up dying in a gruesome fashion. And the reindeer, Mr. Reindeer, is like, "Oh my god! Like, how can you do this? You can't like do this. You just don't care about life and stuff like that." And he starts to cry out of his
Oh yeah,
reindeer mask.
so fucking hypocritical.
He is very fucking hypocritical. And he takes off his mask in dramatic fashion, and he's like, "I'm gonna like kill you," basically. And this is where Shishiba like uses his hammer and like snaps the guy's neck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he snaps his neck, which was a fucking cool scene. It very much
It was.
reminded. It
It
reminded.
was, but you knew it wasn't going to happen that way.
I know, but it was cool how he like took the claw of the hammer because he has like a normal hammer.
Yeah.
He took the claw of the hammer and like went around and fucking twisted the guy's head all the way around.
I'm really wanting to know because I feel like almost everybody has power tools as in the order.
Because it very much reminded me of when Obagiri showed up at the business
Yeah, yeah,
and like went after Shin really fast.
yeah,
Which yeah, I want to know if people they have power tools.
yeah. Because I
or,
mean, there's the
or
little saw, there's the
yeah.
hammer. So
I mean,
Obagiri is the one
it's
that
not
would
a
have.
little saw. It's a pretty big saw.
It seems
Look,
pretty tiny.
it's not. It's pretty fucking big.
So, and then and I mean, just like the way that I can't remember his name, the hammer guy is like.
Shishiba.
He's like, oh man, you guys got blood on my suit, and
Oh yeah. You,
then and he's mad at Asagiri, and she's like, but you already had blood on your suit. Like,
yeah. We find out it's a cheap suit.
he's like, that's why I like cheap suits.
No, these characters are pretty likable. I feel like
I don't know. I feel like I still got to question him only because of the whole hand stabbing thing with the risotto scene.
oh, yeah, it was
Like,
him, wasn't it?
yeah,
It was,
and
yeah.
I'm just like,
Well, I
I
don't
don't.
know. They kind of come off as very likable assassins in this episode.
I'm like, I don't know if I can trust that guy.
Maybe not trust him, but I mean, so who happens to show up after Mr. Reindeer gets resurrected because he has like a robotic spine?
Yeah,
But who happens to show up and fall
he's
from
like
a
he's like Cyborg 009.
he Sakamoto ends up falling through the ceiling, landing on the Mr. Reindeer,
Yeah,
and Shishiba is like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, Mr. S?" And Sakamoto's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, Shishiba?" So Shishiba just happens to know what Sakamoto looks like, but nobody else knows what fucking Sakamoto looks like. That what it
yes,
is?
yes. Maybe it's like that intent that they have, like they know.
Maybe it's like, oh, we were all really close.
Well, that could be it too. Because
Like,
I mean, Obagiri knew who he
yeah,
was.
Obagiri knew who he was. Yeah.
Maybe. Um, which I have a question.
Uh huh.
Did you think that this guy was going to look that way under the reindeer mask?
Oh, with all the stitches and stuff.
No, no. Like we knew that from his
Uh huh.
fingers, but I mean like the straight, like almost like pinky purplish hair. Because I was
Well,
totally thinking this is going to be different.
in the last episode, he lifts up his like the reindeer head, and you can see his hair.
I don't remember it being up that
Yeah,
high for us
yeah,
to
you can see his hair. Like I remember
to
seeing it.
fully
Yeah,
see it. Maybe
but
like being a little purplish, but I don't
it's
think it was going to
it's
be like almost neon pink and purple.
it's. I thought it was really funny how Sakamoto and Shishiba just strike up like a normal fucking conversation.
Yeah,
And they're like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, I haven't seen you in a long time. You know, good to see you. You know, making small talk." And then Mister Reindeer shows up and he fucking starts taking his stitches out of his arm. Then
yeah.
I don't know why I thought he was gonna have like garrote wire or something like that for his stitches, and like that,
Oh,
and that was gonna be his like thing was like he takes the stitches out and uses it as like that or that what's that fiber wire that cuts things,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
No, I
That's what I thought it was going to be, but I was fucking wrong. I was so
yeah.
wrong.
No, I thought probably what it was going to be is that he had some kind of muscle thing, and you know how
Uh-huh.
Sakamoto can like do the thing where he like burns all his fat off and
Yeah.
like is strong. I thought it was going to be like the reverse of that. Like he was going to pull these out, and his muscles were going to grow.
Oh, okay, because we were both wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I thought before. Like he did that, and then like he pulled his hand off, and you're like, "The
He
fuck."
pulls his hand off, and he has like 8 blades come out of his hand or his arm.
Yes.
8 sword blades, and he goes to attack Shishiba, which he does hurt him, but he doesn't sound like a fatal wound.
No.
And then on top of that, he has a gun arm, or I think it's a gun arm on his left arm,
On his right arm.
his right arm, and then he has a gun laser in his mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
And he starts going after Sakamoto, which it's a pretty cool little fight, I feel
Yeah, it almost kind of seemed like Mecha Godzilla.
a little bit, yeah,
He's
because
doing like that little beam thing, like
yeah,
beep.
and Sakamoto was like, "Man, is this guy even human? Like, what's going on here?" It's
Yeah.
almost like he's never seen something like this before.
Well, I really just wonder how much of him actually is human. So,
He's more machine than man now.
which I have to say, the sound effects I don't feel like fully match this.
Uh huh.
Because, like, you know, whenever he's standing there when he rips his arm off the first time,
Yeah,
like it sounds like he's snapping bone and all this other stuff when it was really just more of a fake arm.
I love the scene where Sakamoto's like obviously fighting this guy, and Shishiba and what's her name? Oh god, what's her name?
Ooh,
Usaragi. Usaragi.
yeah,
Shishiba and Usaragi, they basically just take off. They're like, okay, bye. And Sakamoto's like, bye, I'll see you later.
yeah, that
And
was weird as shit.
he's like, bye, take care, see you later. And then he gets back into the fight, which they end up fighting. I don't remember if Sakamoto wins the fight or the fight's still going on.
Yeah,
Do you remember?
I think it's still going on. I don't
Okay.
think we got the final conclusion of it yet.
Okay. And so we end up leaving that fight, going to where Shin is in the facility, and Shin ends up encountering Seba, who is the assassin who can basically turn invisible. And
Yeah,
we have this pretty cool fight with Shin and Seba. Like I thought
that's true.
it was short too.
It was, which I kind of feel like that's going to be a reoccurring thing. A lot of these fights don't really seem like they last that long at all.
Well, that's one thing I like about the show.
I wish it would last a little longer.
I mean, I feel like we will eventually. I mean, once we get up there in the threat level, I feel like we're going to have a little bit longer fights. Oh, one thing we did forget is Mr. Reindeer is actually working for Slur,
Yeah, yeah,
apparently, and Slur or Sakamoto is the only person to ever either was it touch or injure Slur.
yeah. He's the only one to ever injure him.
Yeah, and Sakamoto was like, I don't know who we're talking about. Who's this?
Yeah.
Who's this slur guy?
Yeah. Which I was sitting here and I was like, when I was watching, I go, if it fucking comes out to be like the pizza guy or something, I'm gonna fucking lose it. It was me the whole time, the
Oh,
pizza man.
I hope it's the pizza guy.
Oh my god. Don't you ruin my dreams like this.
I hope it's the pizza man.
Oh my god.
He's like, I got a big, large, piping hot pizza of death for you.
Oh my god.
It's
Hopefully not.
it's got multiple toppings.
Jesus Christ.
It's a big 3-topping pizza of death.
I have this pizza for you. Yeah.
But yeah, so we have this fight with Seba and Shin, and Shin's kind of not doing very well.
Yes.
And because he can read Seba, but he can't like see him. So he's kind of has like this delayed reaction almost.
Yeah, which we did hear him do the whole thing where he said you're not going to run or something.
Yeah.
And I think that was him like saying it loud enough for him to know cuz he had already gotten Hisuke's like knew that he was taking aim
Yeah.
and and then
Which
Hisuke's reaction was fucking golden cuz
which
he's sitting there like an invisible enemy. Wow, like what will they think of
so
next?
yeah, so this is what happens. So Seba and Shin are fighting. Shin or Seba stabs Shin like right in the fucking gut.
Yeah.
He just gets him, and then Shin goes down, and he kind of smears blood on Seba, and this is where Shin goes like, "Okay, you can't miss this target," and then fucking Hisuke shows up,
Right.
and he's like, "God," like you said, "God damn, what are they gonna think of next? Invisible people?
Yeah, yeah.
What's going on?" And I've got to say it right now. I think Seba's fucking dead.
Oh, must have. Must have.
He fucking took like 3 shots from that rifle right in like the chest sternum area.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, he's fucking dead.
Which, I mean, I feel like after we kind of already had like where the other two guys got decapitated like super
Yeah.
fast, that they honestly just really don't matter. Like this whole group.
Yeah, I mean maybe.
I really want to know like how hard boiled would compare to these guys if hard boiled was harder to beat than these guys are.
Oh, I hope they bring hard boiled back.
Oh my god.
We'll complete the team right there.
Oh my gosh.
Which
That'd be crazy.
Hisuke's showing up.
Yeah.
Which obviously Shin probably had to talk to Pisuke to get to Hisuke. You know.
I don't know. Like I said, circling back around, I don't know how he found out that this is where they went.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, unless something happened behind the scenes, like you said, with the name tag and Aoi telling him, hey, you can find him with the name tag thing.
Yeah.
But then if that was true, then why would he send Pisuke out by himself?
Well, I mean, Peacecape probably went to go like survey the city. I mean, we see Peacecape
Well,
in the.
where are they gonna be at?
I don't know.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
how
no,
do
I
you
get
know?
you. I get you. The theory is flawed. Okay,
Yeah. And
it's
then the other
flawed.
thing, that I question that is, how did he know how to get down? Like, how did he get into the secret base?
Yeah,
That's the other part. Because
which
I'm like,
I hope they show this to us,
maybe.
or are we just gonna be like, oh, he just showed up.
I really feel like that's probably what they're going to do.
Which one will you prefer?
I feel like they're going to do the other one because, and I only say this for one reason. I think they're going to do it that way only because this is comical and it's they want us to think that way
Yeah,
because all the things that happen, like it does have action. Don't get me wrong, but I would almost also compare this to like Doctor Slump on the fight scenes with Arlie and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you're like, yeah, that was a really cool fight scene, but then you also have to realize too, like underneath all that, it's also a
It's
comedy.
it's kind of like original Dragon Ball
Yes, yes,
in a sense,
yes.
where you have like that balance of action and comedy. But I have to say, I feel like this episode got a little bit more serious than usual in some parts.
I don't know. I think it's just because we had a longer backstory.
Yeah, we did.
I honestly think that's it. Because we did kind of have Shin shrouded in mystery. Um, and we weren't really that invested in like Heisuke's backstory that much because we had just met him.
Yeah, we already got his backstory.
So, like I didn't think like anything else was really that relevant. Maybe if we had included more on like Lou at some point.
Yeah, but we kind of got her backstory too already in our first episode.
Yeah, in episode 2
Yeah,
or whatever.
episode two. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Oh,
it. You know what I'm saying? Like
one
I just don't
thing.
think there's that much more.
One thing we didn't touch on, which I probably have to say is probably one of the highlights of the episode.
Yeah.
Uh, what's her face? What was her name?
Uraragi.
Asagara.
Yeah, Asagari.
Asagari. She meets Sakamoto for the first time.
We find out she's a new member of the order.
She's a new member of the order, yes, and she has a thing for Sakamoto, kind of.
She thinks he looks like a big teddy bear.
A big teddy bear, and when they're running away, she's like, I hope the big teddy bear's okay. He seems kind of out of shape, but I hope he's okay."
Yeah, and I have to say that was that it. They made more of those jokes this episode than I feel like any
And there
other
was one
episode.
point where Sakamoto kind of got offended at one point when Shin was talking about his weight.
Yeah, well, and the other doctor guy,
Yeah,
but it got brought up like 4 or 5 times, and I was like, "This is more than usual in an episode."
yeah, but I kind of like that. Uh, Asaguri is infatuated with Sakamoto and thinks he's a big teddy bear.
We'll have to see how that turns out with her and Aoi.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe they'll meet at some point and be
Because
like,
that
"What the?"
that fucking threw me off, and I fucking busted out laughing.
Yeah,
She's like, "I hope the teddy bear's okay."
yeah, yeah.
Like she's fucking become obsessed.
She has like, and it seemed like it was overnight because it was super fast.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, love at first sight, love at first sight," right there.
Yeah,
Well, let me ask you, as a whole,
as a whole,
what'd you think of this episode?
it was fractured.
Fractured, really?
Yeah,
Really? Because I actually really liked it.
fractured butthole.
Fractured butthole.
Exactly. You're welcome.
No, I actually really liked it. I liked that we got all the backstory and there's all these little moving pieces within this episode, which leads to more stuff going down the road. I feel like
Uh,
story wise.
I'm only going to say that there are a few things that I didn't like, and that
Okay.
was because of how it was presented to us, like things that we have questions on. And I know that I shouldn't be like that, like
No,
gung
it's
ho
okay. It's
about it,
okay.
but I'm just like, come on. You could like fill in part of these things for us and like how it is, and some of that just goes at the wayside. I feel like,
Yeah, you're just kind of like, oh, this happened.
yeah, like the other thing is too, like what you said earlier. I kind of wonder if any of this, like the fight, was supposed to be a little longer, and we were supposed to get like Hisuke running through town trying to figure out where they're at and
Yeah,
things like.
I honestly don't know because Volume 3 stops before this happens.
Yeah,
Like Volume 3
so,
stops when the professor like gets defeated.
yeah, And I mean, like I said, like I've never read it, so I don't know, and I can't make comments on if I would know any of that stuff. But that's just what I feel like is there is a lot more that we are missing out, and especially after you brought it up like that, I'm just kind of like, well, what am I missing? What am I
Yeah, I
missing
feel
out
like
on?
maybe they were trying to streamline the story, to be honest.
Yeah,
That's what it seemed like. They were trying to streamline it. And because there are some chapters or like that, like some of the episodes don't even follow the naming of the chapters.
yeah,
Like I tried to look for Sakamoto's versus, what was it, like Sakamoto's versus scientist, I think it was,
versus the lab.
or versus the lab.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like I was like, there's nothing in here about Sakamoto versus the lab.
yeah. Well, if you're saying it was after they beat the doctor, it might be on the next one.
Maybe. But yeah, I'm kind of more interested to see like if we're gonna get the stuff that wasn't added in before back in,
Yeah,
and maybe like fold it back into the story. I don't know. I mean, it kind of sucks to hear that like they cut stuff out. To be honest,
yeah,
because I feel like this is just a fun show.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I can see why they did it. They're not trying to possibly shove everything into like one episode or something.
yeah. I mean,
They seem to put like two chapters worth of stories into this.
yeah, they should have taken from My Happy Marriage and done like a one for one
A
adaptation.
one for one adaptation.
Yeah.
Maybe yeah, or like My Hero, maybe Academia. You know,
Did that one do that?
I think they did.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
Um,
I don't know.
but, I mean, I had fun with this episode. I like this. I like the road we're going on in the story wise,
Yeah.
and we're getting more of the order and stuff in this. I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty cool that we saw Shin's backstory for the first time.
Yeah. I enjoyed that too.
Yeah,
And we got it more so from the perspective of the
scientist.
the scientist guy, his
Yeah,
daddy.
his dad is scientist.
Yeah, and I think it just made it more as well. It made it
Yeah,
better
yeah,
because we kind of got the remorse and everything of that, but we also got how he didn't really think that that was like such a thing, and we also kind of got to make the connection of why he felt so upset whenever Lou told him about like she didn't feel like she could always be around him or trust that.
yeah.
So
Like
we kind of got that closure on why he got upset and ran away in the
it,
first place.
it definitely comes like full circle.
Yeah,
Like his story kind of does
yeah,
and stuff. But I thought it was a lot of fun. I liked all the fight scenes. I like seeing the order in action for what little we got them.
yeah.
But one thing I have to say, nitpick. Even
Okay.
though, even though I like the intro or the outro, why did they change the outro back to the old outro?
No idea.
I was like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, no idea. There is plenty of stuff there that I do not know.
I look forward to this, and I kind of want to go back and read along in the manga again and try to pick up the manga
Yeah,
and see like what the differences are and stuff like that, because there's obviously pretty big, like the big parts of the story are like unchanged, it seems like.
yeah. Well, I mean, especially like knowing all this other stuff and what they did change.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like there's probably more there to enjoy with the story that you're actually not getting. Like,
but there's like
yeah,
21 volumes of manga.
yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my god. But I mean, they probably have to have it in print now because the show's going on and stuff.
Well, buddy, you did also say that about the stuff being so cheap that you could get it.
I could, but I would have to put it into my comic book fund. Maybe if I did like a volume a month or something.
Oh my goodness. Guess
Who
you're gonna
knows?
have to get into that comic book fun.
I guess so. I guess so. But yeah, no, this was a fun episode. I enjoyed it.
You have to get into that comic book fun for otakuology. That's what.
Yeah. I want to see more of the Hammer guy because I kind of like the Hammer guy. Like, I want to see him fight with the Hammer.
Oh my god.
I
Well,
just,
like I said, I want to know what Asaragi's
yeah.
weapon is now, just to like know if it is all power tool wise or something like that. That'd be. And if that's true, what was Sakamoto's back in the day?
I think it was a sword.
No, couldn't be.
I don't remember. I think it was a sword. I know he had a sword in the very beginning
Yeah,
when we saw like the flashback.
yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, who
But
knows?
yeah, it's all pretty crazy.
But thanks for listening. If you like this show, make sure to rate and review the show, share the podcast. It's the best way to help other people find the podcast.
Yeah.
And go listen to all our huge back catalog of over 4 years of content. We have a
Is it
lot.
our is it our anniversary?
It was last year. Last year it was.
So we're not gonna have another one this year?
I mean, we might, yeah.
Oh my god.
I forget what day it is, to be honest.
Who knows?
I have to go back and look when our first episode was published.
Oh. I
Yeah.
mean or we could just go when the idea was first made.
I don't remember.
Oh.
I don't remember. I don't remember, to be honest. But yeah, thanks for listening. And when will we see them?
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next Tuesday.